christiangeekcentral.com. Hold still! You lied to me! In my face! In the face! Put it in the peanut butter. In my face.
I thought you said this guy was a Christian. What is this?
Liberate tu teme.
John Tula asked, Peter, how do you reconcile the chronological order of evolution and the days of creation in the Bible? I don't necessarily. This is something that in recently looking at it, I'm much more open to different interpretations of Genesis, because what I learned more recently about the signposts of genre that are in Genesis, especially in the early chapters, that you don't see you can see a little bit of them in English in the structure there. You know, there was evening and there was morning, 1 day, evening and morning, 2 days, evening. So there's this kind of like linguistic pattern, and it's even more visible, as I understand, in the Hebrew. There are indications of poetry form. Because of that, there's a lot of openness we can take with the book of Genesis, and particularly in the creation account, about whether or not this is intended to be a chronological account, whether how much it should be pressed for literal and scientific detail. So these days, I'm, in light of just some new information, it's not coming from the scientific side of things, but coming from the biblical linguistic side of things. I am more open now to different ways of looking at Genesis as it relates to physical events that took place in history. All right, let's do it. Oh crap, I might have made the wrong choice. What is that weird noise he's making? Oh, and now the big bird's coming after me. Oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong part of town. Oh my gosh. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Oh my gosh, there's 2 of them? Are you kidding me? Run! Here I thought this stream was gonna be so much easier to talk to you guys with the types of games I'll be playing. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Sorry. I don't think there's a way I can do these streams and have significantly more brain power for deep conversation. So hopefully, at the very least, you guys are enjoying just the chance to connect a little bit, establish a little bit more of a community vibe between you and me, and between you guys together. Let me try to get back to this Rugged Warrior. Is there a genre of games you wish you could get into but know you wouldn't like? Oh, that's a great question. Horror. Survival horror. Because I love horror movies. I love being freaked out by monsters in movies. I love discovering what the weird, unique facets of a monster are over the course of a movie as it's slowly revealed. I love weird body horror, and yes, but when I am given agency over controlling whether or not someone walks into horror, that's no fun. I want to turn around and say, no, that's where the horror is, and the horror is going to kill me and scare the crap out of me. It's more scary, too. Especially with headphones on. Every time I do a stream, I'm just reminded of how much more present the game world is to me, because I'm very auditory. I learn primarily or best by listening, and it's hard for me to tune out sounds. It's easier for me to pinpoint and find a sound in a cacophony than it is to cancel out and, you know, take away from my mind different sounds. So, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's just much more intense. So, no, horror, yeah. Those games are too scary for me. Dead Space, I played that. Excuse me, working out this burp. I played that, I think, the first Extra Life live stream. And I love that game aesthetically, because it totally is inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing, the monsters in that game. Oh my gosh. And it's space sci-fi, and I love that game. I want to watch that movie. But, oh my gosh, I would never play that game for fun. I would never play that game for fun. And I wish I could, but I can't. There are some sports games that are incorporating story into them, and almost a role-play type of thing. And I've heard from one or two people that some of these sports games, you don't actually even have to play a single game of, like, say, if the game's basketball, all you got to do is manage the team, trade players, and make other choices like that. And so it's almost like this kind of big strategy game, you know? And the story just happens to be a sports story. And I was like, huh, I could maybe get into that, you know? But I don't ever want to kind of take the risk on trying it out, because at the end of the day, my time is precious, you know, and just plenty of other things that are more fun and that I am much more confident I'll enjoy if I give my time to them. So that's why that doesn't happen. But yeah, those would be two different types of games that, one that I wish I could enjoy that I'm confident I will not, and another that I maybe could enjoy, but because of other issues in it, I probably will never really give it a good try. If I can be proud of myself without being in my flesh, then I'd like to say that I'm proud of myself. Because I think this is the first stream I've ever done where I have never had to have been told to change the game title. I've remembered, I think, every single time. Unless you guys are aware of a time where I forgot and just didn't tell me. Hater, I would like to ask what music you liked and listened to. It's been a little while since I listened to music just to listen to music. I like film score and I like video game score, which are, you know, essentially the same medium today. I mean, you know, video game score is obviously different because composers have to design a score to work in a loop for a lot of things, but other than that, they're still very similar. So I like Tyler Bates. Tyler Bates did the score for the movie 300 and for the God of War video games. I really like his sound. He kind of sounds the same in a lot of what he does, but I don't mind. I like the sound. I like early Tim Burton. So like his weird, what would be some examples of early Tim Burton? Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, you know, his Tim Burton stuff, his early Tim Burton stuff. When it comes to artists, I like the band Red. They're an awesome mix of like really hard, emotional rock that I think is just intended to express the intense emotions of their intended audience, you know, and I don't think I fit their demographic of who they typically are reaching with their music, but it really speaks to me. I remember I first discovered them during my my last 6 months or my second year when I was serving as a worship pastor, and it was just going through some really difficult things to the point where like I would sometimes just come into my office and sit under my desk so no one would see me and come to talk to me, and I would just take 20 minutes and just cry under my desk. You know, it was really intense stuff going on at the time. And their music really spoke to me. Their lyrics, and then also the intensity of the vocals and the music. It kind of was a catharsis. It allowed me to kind of let go of some emotions that were pent up in me. And so I grew up listening to an artist by the name of Steve Green, who's very different from Red. He was in the inspirational vein of artists, so it's more of a classical-sounding voice. In fact, his music and that style of music was one of the main reasons that I chose to get my degree in vocal performance, because I kind of wanted to go down a similar path. I still really enjoy listening to some of that music, mostly for the lyrics, because the lyrics are so much more rich than the lyrics of most worship songs that are sung in congregations and that are popularized on the radio. More rich. Red has great lyrics, but they tend to be very vague and metaphorical and easily misinterpreted if you come into them with a worldview different from theirs. You know, a friend of mine once confessed that before he became a Christian, he listened to Red, and he just made all of their songs in his mind be about a girl and the relationship with a girl. And then after he became a Christian, he realized, man, these songs are about our broken relationship with God and the restoration that can take place there. I mean, he didn't word it that way, but I mean, he understood then what the real intent was. Nowadays, the only music I listen to, I'll listen to Steve Green to kind of do my vocal exercises, because it's a certain type of music and a certain part of my range that does a good job of keeping my voice in the shape that I want it to be in. So I'll do that while I'm driving my boys to and from school. And other than that, I don't really listen, apart from long road trips, I don't really listen to music just purely for enjoyment. And when I do, yeah, it's usually like video game scores, sometimes film scores. Yeah, that's about it. Eclectic 1995 says, do you by any chance listen to Stryper? Ha used to. Definitely, before Red. And I discovered Stryper. It's so funny. The sound guy at our church is like a hardcore Stryper fan. And I liked... My sister bought some Stryper when I was like in late elementary, junior high, and she was about 3 years older than me. She was listening to some Stryper. They were kind of like the only Christian rock option, you know, for a while. Them, and I think Petra was another band. Yeah. To hell with the devil, baby. So yeah, Stryper's in my history, but I mean, once my sister, I didn't hang on to listening to Stryper. I enjoyed it, and there was a time when I was kind of into it, independent of my sister, but that was a pretty short time. Wow, that was out of left field. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a great reference and a point of connection between you and I. Awesome. Blast from the past. Although I know they are making new stuff. I think they just came out with a new album. Maybe they've always been making new stuff. I haven't kept up. This game has not gotten like great reviews. It's very mixed or mediocre reviews. But that seems to happen with me sometimes, or a lot of times with movies. It's like if people are generally loving a movie, it's a good chance it's not going to connect with me. And the movies that I am most excited about are often either hated by most, or maybe more often they're just mixed reviews. Anyway, thanks a lot, you guys. Alrighty. Post-show music. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Have a good night, you guys. Hey, just a reminder that this humble little YouTube channel is so dependent on people just like you. There are 3 main ways you can support this channel, and they're all over at spiritblade.com. The first is to purchase one of our sci-fi or fantasy audio dramas. Second is to give us a donation of any amount. And third, you can become a Spirit Blade insider and get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes monthly goodies. You can get more information on our About page over at spiritblade.com. Thanks so much.